Money with Secure Money. I'm Rebecca Power. So happy to be with you again this week with Brian Quaranta, who, of course, created Secure Money Advisors. You created this show. Of course, you pay for it to be on the air because you really do want to get the word out. You want to educate, and that's why you wrote that book, too.
Yes, Right Track Your Retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me a long time to write it.
But yeah, I bet. But people kept saying, am I on the right track? Here's my POS, my pile of stuff.
Yeah, right.
Am I on the right track?
Yeah.
Am I on the right track?
Yeah.
And it's funny that you say, what's the title going to be when the author and the publishing company? You're like, how about Right Track to Your Retirement?
Right Track Your Retirement, because that's the number one question we get. And it answers a lot of the questions that people have, right? Like, number one, when should I consider taking Social Security? I'm going to be retiring and I don't have a pension. What should I do? I'm going to have to withdraw money from my retirement accounts. What's going to be the right way to do that? What's going to be the right order to take the money in? A lot of people will tell us, they're at a point in their life where they just can't afford to take another big market loss.
Right.
These are the primary concerns that we see over and over and over at our office. And typically when we show people our philosophy, a lot of people go, I wish somebody would show me this 10 years ago, 15 years ago, because we could potentially be in a much better spot. So we're very proud of what we've created there at Secure Money Advisors, and we've got an incredible team of people, a very caring group of people. And it's the one thing I always say, our culture is unmatched.
Yes.
And when you have a team of people working for you, rather than just one individual person, boy, does it make a world of a difference. Because when my team and I sit down,
it's all of you.
It's all of us. And when we're planning, we're planning together, and, there might be an idea brought up on how to solve something, but then somebody might see another challenge someplace else that, brings up another issue. So it's a very thorough process that people get when they decide to hire Secure Money Advisors to help them.
And of course, you have no quotas, no competition like the big boxes among your employees, so you really are a team. You also, thank goodness for technology, when you first look at that risk assessment at if they have a right tax plan, if you're looking, it's not just you and these other 14 people's opinions. Let's talk about the mathematics and the algorithms that you use in these programs.
Yeah, that's a good question, because, a lot of times financial planning is a matter of opinion, right? Like, you could be doing this over this. Well, those days are gone.
Guesswork.
Right? Yeah, those opinion days are gone. Building a plan on a yellow legal pad, that's gone. I mean, there's some real sophistication that goes into planning now, especially when you're income planning, tax planning, investment planning. But, one of the powerful softwares that we use is something called Riskalyze. Now, Riskalyze is a third-party program. Any financial planning firm can use it, but it's very expensive, so a lot of them don't make the investment.
Exactly.
But we feel it's absolutely necessary, because how are you going to help somebody if you don't truly understand where they are, if they don't truly understand where they are? And what we really like about the risk program is it actually quantifies the risk in the form of a number. Matter of fact, the number looks like a speed limit sign, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, because most people understand driving. If you're driving at 25 miles an hour versus 80 miles an hour and you get in an accident, there'd be a lot more damage at 80 miles an hour than there would be at 25 miles an hour. So we quantify risk in the form of a number. People can understand that better than conservative, moderately conservative, aggressive, very aggressive,
and that's so vague. It's so vague. When you put into Riskalyze, do they ask your age? Or is it literally just what your risk is, and then you decide?
Yeah. So what we do is we take their pile of stuff, all their statements, and we individually load in every single position that they currently own, whether it's a mutual fund, a stock, whatever it might be.
Bond.
And what it does is it aggregates all of that data together, and it's pulling all of the current data, right, from the miracle of the internet. It aggregates everything and brings it all in real time, and it starts to give us some mathematical computations, like a risk number, a drawdown number. That's a big number.
What's that?
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask that. So a drawdown number, a lot of people don't know this, but it's a very important number to know, is when you look at any portfolio, there's always going to be a drawdown number. So that drawdown number is how far, based on the risk of that portfolio could go down if the markets were to go down.
Wow.
So a lot of times what you'll see is people are in what they feel are conservative investments, and then you'll look at their risk score, and their risk score will come in really high. It'll come in at like an 80, and then you look at their drawdown number, and their drawdown could be over 40%, which just basically means that an 80 is a big high risk score because it's on a
Right.
scale from 1 to 99, so 80 is a big
Oh,
risk
wow.
score. But the drawdown number means that they could lose up to 40% of their money if the markets were to correct. So when you ask people, could you afford that type of loss if that were to happen? Most would say no. So you want to try to mitigate that drawdown. If the drawdown's 40%, could we get it to 10%, right? Could we get the risk number from 80 down to 40 and reduce it? And sometimes all it means is keeping this, moving this, keeping this, moving this. Little tweaks here and there
Right.
can make all the world of a difference.
Can make a very big difference, especially
Yeah.
you mentioned before tax planning, for instance.
Yes.
If
Yeah.
you plan the rest of your life, you can literally save hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
To go and then to go to your children, to last you for your life, to go to your children instead of the IRS. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
minor tweaks all around massaging can make tremendous difference.
Well, tax planning is really big because tax planning ties into purchasing power. And when we talk about retirement planning, the main focus is how are we going to get an individual the monthly income that they need. But more importantly is, okay, if you're getting a monthly income of a certain amount right now, how much is that going to be able to buy you 10 years from now, right? That's
Right.
called purchasing power, because the same $2,000 a month you might be getting right now is not going to be, say, the same $2,000 a month in 10 years. So how are we going to make sure that your purchasing power is strong 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 20 years from now? And one of the ways that you can protect your purchasing power is actually through tax planning. Because if you can eliminate taxes from your income, right, especially for retirement accounts, think about it. Most people put their money into retirement accounts like 401ks. Well, those are all tax deferred accounts. So that means every time you pull money out of those, you have to pay taxes on them.
Right.
So let's suppose that you just needed $1,000 a month. Well, if you take $1,000 a month out of a retirement account and you're in a 20% tax bracket, you're only going to net $800, but you can't control tax brackets. So if they go up and now all of a sudden you're in a 30% tax bracket, now you're only going to be netting $700. Well, why not do some tax planning to where we can go from a taxable account to a tax-free account? So now if I need that $1,000, I get $1,000 because I don't have to pay taxes on
and
it.
it's $1,000.
It's $1,000. That's called a Roth conversion.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are not having those conversations at all.
And we need to take a very short break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about what you've called the perfect storm.
Yeah.
This is a very, very real thing. Now is the perfect time to take care of it because of inflation and all the different things in this perfect storm we're going to talk about. Let's give that phone number and let you know what you're going to receive when you walk in that door.
Yeah, folks, look, I want you to take advantage of our Right Track Retirement View. I've always said this, you can't get a second opinion from the person that gave you the first opinion. And if there's any time to look at what you're currently doing, it is absolutely right now. With a lot of the changes that we're seeing in the economic environment, interest rates changing, the stock market changing, this is a time to look at what you're currently owning and are you in the right positions? Because just because your accounts are down, don't stick your head in the sand and think, oh, I can't make any changes because my accounts are down. This is the best time to get rid of losers. This is the best time to take advantage of things like tax harvesting and things along those lines. But you've got to do your part. You've got to actually come in, sit down with us, and go through this complimentary review. Now, I know that going in and seeing a financial advisor can be probably an intimidating process to some people. But my promise to you is when you come in, you're not going to be sold anything. There are no high pressure tactics. We are there to truly give you a complimentary review based on what you're currently doing and answer any questions or concerns and provide you with some solutions that could truly impact and better your situation. So take advantage of the Right Track Retirement Review. Call 1-888-382-1298 and schedule with us today.
Absolutely. All right, stay with us. We'll be right back. Call that number.
See, everybody can tell you how to invest your money. There's not a lot of people out there and a lot of firms that can teach you how to use your money. Most people will also tell you that they're scared. And the reason they're scared is because they're afraid of running out of money.
The last thing you want to do is have a really good job into your 60s, retire, and be looking for work again in your late 70s.
The average person might say, well, a good portfolio would be a good mix of stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. No. A good portfolio is all designed around the 5 key areas: income, taxes, investments, healthcare, and legacy planning.
We're not just product pickers here. What we do best here is we build retirement plans.
9 out of 10 people, when they walk through the door, would ask us, we just want to know if we're on the right track. And I always say, if you're not on the right track, when would be a good time to know it? Probably now.
people, can actually see a vision once we start to really build out their plan.
This is about you. If you're not getting what you need and you feel that when you walk out of the advisor's office, it's time to get a second opinion. And you can't get a second opinion from the person that gave you the first opinion. The difference at Secure Money Advisors, as a fiduciary firm, we help you manage the risk, build the income, and give you the retirement you dreamed of.
Welcome back to On the Money with Secure Money, of course brought to you by Brian Quaranta, the creator of Secure Money Advisors. I always like to hit this, the name of your business, the name of your show, you always have the word secure.
Yeah.
Like any game, like any marriage, like any situation, it is about the position. What position are you in? Let's talk about positioning and how important that is.
Yeah, well, I think when it comes to investing, the position is what age are you at, right? And what is it that you exactly need your money to do for you? And if you think about a football team, if you think about a baseball team, there's different positions because those positions have different jobs to do.
Yes.
Could you imagine trying to play a football game and everybody's the quarterback? Or playing a baseball game and everybody's the pitcher?
Right.
You can't do that. And your money's no different. All of your money cannot be doing the same job. But this is what people do. They have all of their money in the stock market.
Yes.
Okay? That's not how to handle money. Money has different jobs to do.
And you have to tell it what job it's doing.
Right. Or you have to know what jobs
Right, what position to put it in. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because a lot of people just don't know the jobs that it can do. But I write about this stuff in my book, Right Track Your Retirement, which when you schedule an appointment with us, we'll actually give you a complimentary copy of the book where I go into this in detail. But we've got to define the purpose of the money or the positioning of the money.
Yeah.
And in our office, we keep it pretty simple. We break it down kind of in the buckets, right? So we have bank money, we've got safe money, and we have risk money. Those three buckets, if you allocate a certain amount of money to each of those buckets, is going to give you time, security, safety, liquidity, growth, everything. But more importantly, when you define the positioning of each dollar, okay, and you do it this way rather than having all of your money in the market, now what happens is you have a market correction, you're not worried about it.
Right.
We don't care about it.
Yep.
It doesn't impact us.
You're not going to panic and sell low and then try to buy back high, the exact opposite thing that you're supposed to do.
There is only one type of person that panics when the market goes down. And that's the person that has 100% of their money in the market.
That's right.
And they're focused solely on their account balance. You see, we were actually taught to focus on the wrong number.
Yeah.
Everybody looks at their account balance. You should not be concerned so much about your account balance. You should be concerned about the balance of income that you can generate from your money. Because if you really think about it, and you really think about what the job of that money is going to be later on in life, people will always tell you, 95% or over 95% of the people will tell you, we're going to need it to provide income.
Right.
So there's only two ways you can do that. You can do that by having a bucketing approach like we do.
Yeah.
Or you could go out and you could buy dividend-paying stocks. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and buy dividend-paying stocks. I'm using this as an example, okay? Now, dividend-paying stocks can be a good thing, but, let's take Verizon, for example, and I'm not telling you to go out and buy Verizon here by any means. I'm using it as an example. But Verizon right now, as a recording of this show, pays a 7% dividend, okay? So let's just say we have $100,000.
Okay.
We buy Verizon today. Well, since we're going to get a 7% dividend, every single year, we're going to get $7,000. We're going to get $7,000 from Verizon, okay? That's the dividend. Well, what happens if my $100,000 goes to $80,000? I'm still going to get my $7,000 dividend because a dividend is not based off of the share price. It's based on the number of shares that you buy. So dividend investors don't care about the volatility of the market. They care about the income or the dividend that the investment is going to pay them.
Okay.
So this is how you create peace of mind in some cases when you're in the market. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is through a bucketing approach that we do, right? But the point is most people take a growth approach, meaning if they wanted income, right, they invest $100,000.
Okay.
and let's say their account goes up 10%, they go to 110,000, and they take $7,000 out, right? Okay, so now they've got 103,000 left, all right? But what happens if the market goes down 20% next year? Now they go down to what, 83,000, okay? Now what happens? They don't have any dividend that's paying. They're living and dying by the share price. If it's up, everything's okay. If it's down and they're taking money out, now they can run out of money. And people just don't understand these small little nuances. So you really, I would say to each viewer watching today, go get your statement right now. I want you to look at your account balance, but then I want you to find out on your statement how much income your account is producing. I can bet you're most likely in a growth portfolio that has no dividends paying you at all, and you probably have very little income being produced from that portfolio. And that means that you are going to live and die by the ups and downs of the market because you have no other way to protect cash flow coming in from your investments.
I truly believe, and I know I've said this before, that we are not taught this in school,
No.
and that really is so shocking if you stop and think about it. So don't feel bad that you don't know, and don't feel bad that you thought your little statement was your plan. It's not.
It's not, yeah.
At all, and we're all in the dark, and it's so wonderful to
Yeah.
shine some light and to walk out. How many times are people like, "Whew, I feel so much better now.
Oh, yeah.
I hate it coming to you, but gosh, I'm so glad I did."
It's a relief for people. It's a relief. And one of the things that we're really good at Secure Money Advisors is the generosity of our time and our effort, right?
Yeah. Well, because it's going to turn into a long-time relationship.
Yeah, but there's times
Yeah.
that people come in, like, I had some folks come in and, they had been through some tough situations throughout the course of their life. And so
Yeah.
here they are later on in life and they don't have a whole lot of money saved. But I taught them a strategy to where they could turn their Social Security on while they were working, okay, and use their Social Security to accelerate their retirement savings.
Oh.
And by the time that they were 72, they had almost $600,000 saved just by putting the Social Security away alone. So they went from literally zero
Wow.
at like 63, 64 to when they came back in, showing them a Social Security strategy to where they could accumulate over $500,000 for retirement. These are the things that people are not being taught. You
That's
are not going to
amazing.
get that type of advice at a box firm. You're just not. A box firm is going to talk to you about performance. They're going to show you charts. They're going to show you graphs. They're going to show you investment brochures.
It's like a magic show. Look here, now look here.
Yeah, it's all
You're like,
shiny
"Arr."
object stuff, right? You need a plan that's simple and easy to understand, but it
Yeah.
is thorough and well thought out. And that's why we focus on the 5 key areas: income, taxes, investments, healthcare strategy, and your estate planning strategy. But folks, this is why we offer the Right Track Retirement Review. It is something I want you to take advantage of. Come in and sit down with us. It's about a 45-minute meeting where we take the time to go over your concerns and walk you through a strategy that can help give you some more clarity and more peace of mind. Now, you may come in and we may find out that you're actually on the right track. How good of a feeling would it be for you to know that you're doing the right things? And if that's the case, there's nothing that would mean more to me than to shake your hand and tell you to keep doing what you're doing and you're doing everything right. But wouldn't it be great to get that confirmation? So take advantage of this. It's complimentary. There's no obligation. There's no sales pitch, but you got to do your part. You got to call us today. It's 1-888-382-1298. Again, 1-888-382-1298. Take advantage of the Right Track Retirement Review.
And don't forget that QR code. You can just point your camera on your phone to it. It'll bring you right to our landing page. Please have your calendar ready. We want to make sure we get you an appointment soon with Brian and his amazing team at Secure Money Advisors. Stay with us.
If I could help you increase your income, if I could help you pay less taxes, if I could help you potentially maximize the returns of your investments while reducing risk, reducing fees, if I could help you prepare for a health event, or more importantly, when the good Lord decides to take you home, to make sure that the money you've accumulated over your lifetime goes to your family and to your charities rather than the IRS, would that be worth the time to come in and get a second opinion?
All right, welcome back. We were just talking about getting that risk analyzed and all the different parts of your five-part plan on the right track. Are you on the right track? And Brian, you were saying somebody came in and they many times have been on the right track.
Yeah.
And you say, fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. Good job.
Keep doing what you're doing.
What happens?
Yeah, we
You don't-
shake hands and we part ways. I tell them if anything ever changes, call us. Keep us
Yeah.
at the top of your list, But a lot of times these folks, because we've taken the time to go through things with them. And maybe I give them a little piece of advice on something that they haven't thought
Sure.
of. I give them some talking points to go back and talk to their current advisor about. A lot of times I'll get a phone call, a few months later, and they'll say, my friend Bob was in your office the other day, and I'm looking for an advisor, and he said to come to you. He's not even sending them to his advisor, he's sending them over to us. And I'll tell you, there's nothing more proud than having that moment, because
it's integrity.
It's integrity.
That's why. They see that.
Yeah.
They're not being sold something.
Right. Yeah.
And they trust you.
Yeah. And I think, look, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. My mom and dad worked really hard for their money.
Mine too.
My dad had a Montgomery Ward store. Montgomery Ward's in the middle of my mom and dad building their new home. Montgomery Ward's was going really, really great. And, my mom and dad went to bed one night and everything was fine, and woke up the next day and Montgomery Ward's was filing for bankruptcy.
Wow.
So they lost everything. And so my dad worked 2-3 jobs to keep things going. Money was really tight. And if, families, when you go through it as a family, it's probably what made me so interested about money, right? Because
it is freedom. Scarlett O'Hara said it. I will never be hungry again.
Yeah.
Like, it is freedom.
It absolutely is. And I think at the end of the day, we've made a decision as a team to never judge anybody based on what they're doing, never criticize anybody based on what they're doing, and give the very best advice that we can.
Well, you
right?
also understand that most of us don't know what we're doing because we were never taught that. You had to go out and seek it, go to school, get all these degrees.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of wrong things being done.
Amen.
And I was the person that a lot of individuals didn't like at the big box firms.
Yeah.
Because I was questioning everything. And when I would question them, I would point holes in the recommendations that they were making.
Right.
And so I always feel like, to this day, the recommendation that we make, I believe in so much, right? That it's very hard to poke any holes in the recommendation that we make, right? And if there's any holes ever poked in the recommendation that we make, it's typically because the person is undereducated, or they have a false belief about something and they haven't educated themselves properly to understand the true working parts of certain things.
Absolutely.
So, but at the end of the day, our job at Secure Money Advisors is to make sure that no matter who you are, no matter whether you have $100,000 or $100 million, we're going to give you the same amount of time and talk to you about your concerns and not judge you where you are, judge you based on the money you've got, right? We're going to take care of you and make sure that you get the very, very best advice.
And I really want to drive home, we've talked about this in past shows, the difference between an independent fiduciary, which you are, and the big box retailer. I hate to keep saying that, but it's true. They only have a certain amount of products. I've said it before.
Yeah.
If you go in a Ford, they're not going to sell you a Chevy.
That's right.
Let's talk about that major, major difference.
Yeah. Well, look, I worked at the box firms, so I know
you can say it.
I know what it's like.
Yeah.
There's a menu of services, there's a menu of products. They really don't come to the table with an unbiased approach because usually they've got a quota to hit on something.
Yeah, always.
And look, there's bills in Congress right now to try to change that. There's the best interest rule. That is trying to be pushed to where, everybody's going to be required to do what's in the client's best interest.
Like a fiduciary is now.
Which always kind of cracks me up because I think if you're in the financial industry,
you should do it anyway.
You should do it anyway.
Gee, what a strange concept. Huh.
Right, you should do it anyway. So, but, you're seeing more and more things change, but there's a lot of guys and women that no longer want to be part of the box firms anymore. They want to go independent, because they do want to sit down and have a good conversation with the client and do what's right for the client. They don't want to come to the table with an agenda. And that's certainly something that's a promise that I can make, is that number one, we're never going to be beholden to anybody. We sit on the same side of the table as the client. And the reason why the client works with us is because, if we need to fire somebody, we're going to fire somebody. And what I mean by that is if we're using a portfolio manager or we're using a certain company and they're not getting done what we need to get done, we're going to get rid of them, right?
And you can choose from anybody else in the whole world.
That's right. So if they're not getting their job done, they are gone, period, bottom line. And that's why people hire me, because I'm not going to sit there and tell them, well, don't worry about it, hang in there. That's not the approach that we're going to take. Right? We've got to make sure that we're on the right track at all times. And if that means that we need to change the perspective of portfolio managers that we've chosen or something along those lines, we are going to do that.
You mentioned laws about overseeing finance. A law years ago said you have to list what the fees are that everyone is paying.
Yeah.
And when I was with a big box before I went to the independents,
Yeah.
I literally sat there. It took me about 2 hours, no joke. I looked on page 72.
Yeah.
I kid you not. It was like 1.5% plus.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 like AARP, you know, like you see these real fast disclaimers almost.
Yep.
That's kind of infuriating.
Yeah, it is.
You
It
hear
is.
about hidden fees. That's what it is.
Yeah, and there's still a lot of hidden fees. There's a lot of hidden fees with individual mutual funds. There's a lot of hidden fees with variable annuities. You know, variable annuities are probably notorious for the most hidden fees. I mean, I had an individual come in a few weeks ago that had a variable annuity. They had come to my educational event. I talked about variable annuities a little bit. And a long time ago, I created something called the variable annuity escape, because people were saying, how can I get out of these things? Because, you know, in my opinion, again, as much as I like annuities, that's my least favorite annuity to ever consider. And I've never used it in my planning practice. But, you know, the individual came in, they said, you know, I don't think I'm paying any fees in the annuity. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, don't take my word for it. Let's just call.
Yeah.
And he goes, we're going to call the advisor. I said, no. We're going to call the company directly.
On speakerphone so you can hear
on
it?
speakerphone. So we called the company directly, right? We get the customer service department, and now I've got a 15-point checklist that I can go through with the company and find out, can you tell me the M&E charge? Can you tell me the death benefit charge? Can you tell me the sub-account fee charges? Can you tell me the income rider charges? And these are just fee after fee after fee.
Stuff I've never even heard of.
Right, and the client's sitting there going, and every time I ask the question, you know, the individual on the other line is going, 1%, 1.2%, 1.5%, 0.25%. The time we were done, the fee was over 4% a year. And I said to the individual, I said, had you known that all of these fees existed prior to putting your money in here, would you have ever done it? He said, absolutely not.
And
now,
that falls on the financial planner who got them in that.
100%, because you're required as an advisor to have full disclosure. And that's the great thing about working with fiduciary, right? Held to the highest standard, have to be transparent, and that's exactly the culture and what we do at Secure Money Advisors. But more importantly, our Right Track retirement system is absolutely something I want to see you take advantage of, because it is going to give you clarity and peace of mind, and it's going to really teach you what a real retirement plan is about. So I want you to call today, call 1-888-382-1298, and I want you to schedule your complimentary Right Track retirement review today. Please do not kick the can down the road. This is not the time to procrastinate. Schedule your appointment today. It's 1-888-382-1298.
All right. Thank you so much, Brian. As always, I learned so much. Thank you at home for joining us. We'll see you next time.